Imagine this. You're told you have just days, maybe weeks left to live.
Hmm.
And then months later, you walk out of the hospital, transformed, maybe even, well, cured, simply by changing what you eat.
It sounds almost too good to be true, doesn't it?
It really does. But today, on the deep dive, we are actually going to dig into the science behind this. How diet and lifestyle choices aren't just about keeping you healthy.
Right.
They can actively treat and sometimes reverse the biggest killers out there, the leading causes of death.
Yeah, and this isn't just anecdotal. We're talking about a huge body of research, thousands of studies.
Exactly. We're distilling all that complex science into insights you can actually use.
Giving you a shortcut, basically.
A shortcut to some potentially life-changing knowledge. Expect some surprises, maybe a few aha moments that challenge, conventional wisdom about health.
Definitely.
So let's get into it. Let's unpack this incredible power on your plate.
Okay, so it's interesting. The whole field, this line of inquiry, it really started from a very personal place.
Not just abstract science.
No, not at all. It was sparked by seeing a grandmother. She was wheeled into this program, diagnosed with terminal heart disease.
Yeah.
Given no hope, really.
Oh.
And then, months later, she walked out. She'd adopted this plant-based diet and exercise plan from Nathan Pertikin, one of the early pioneers.
That's incredible.
It is. But what's really striking and kind of troubling is the disconnect. You have groundbreaking studies like Dr. Dean Ornish's work showing heart disease reversal.
Published in top journals, right?
Absolutely. Prestigious peer-reviewed journals. And yet, everyday medical practice, it barely changed.
Which is the big question, isn't it? Why would that critical life-saving information just be overlooked?
Yeah, why the lag? It's perplexing.
So what's going on there? What are the barriers?
Well, a big part of it is systemic, the way healthcare is often structured, particularly in the U.S.
The fee-for-service model.
Exactly. Doctors get paid more for doing procedures, prescribing pills.
Not so much for spending time counseling patients on, say, what to eat.
Precisely. There's often no real financial incentive for that kind of deep dive into lifestyle, even if it's the most effective approach.
And then there's the education piece, which is just staggering.
Oh, definitely. Only about, a quarter of U.S. medical schools have even one required nutrition course.
It's unbelievable. I read the author mentioned this interview at Cornell where they were told nutrition is superfluous to human health.
Superfluous? Can you imagine someone training to heal people saying food doesn't matter much?
It's wild. And the story about the vet.
Oh, right. The only one who asked about a family member's diet was the veterinarian, not the doctors.
It really makes you pause and think about our health priorities, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And that profound disconnect, that sort of alarming gap, it fueled this whole life's mission.
The what else is buried question.
Exactly. If the potential cure for the #1 killer disease could essentially get lost in the system, what other vital health information might be hidden in the medical literature?
So years of digging began.
Years. Scouring everything from old library archives to the latest research, the whole goal became uncovering this evidence and getting it out there.
Which led to nutritionfacts.org.
Right. A nonprofit, no ads, completely free resource, just trying to get that evidence-based information to everyone, to empower you with what the science actually says.
Okay, so for someone listening right now, trying to make sense of all the health noise out there, what's the bottom line here?
Well, a key takeaway is we need to challenge that assumption, that deeply ingrained idea that our health is mostly just genetics, destiny.
That it's all in our DNA.
Right. But the science, it overwhelmingly points elsewhere for most major diseases. Genes typically account for only about maybe 10 to 20% of the risk.
Only 10 to 20%. That's surprisingly low.
It is. It tells us there's so much more going on. Lifestyle is huge.
And the global evidence backs this up.
Oh, absolutely. The picture is incredibly clear. You look around the world, disease rates vary massively, sometimes by a factor of 100.
100-fold difference. Wow.
And migration studies are particularly revealing. People move from a place with low rates of certain diseases to a place with high rates.
And their risk changes.
It changes to match the new environment. Often summed up, new diet, new diseases.
Yes, an example.
Okay, take a 60-year-old American man in San Francisco. His risk of a heart attack in the next 5 years is typically around 5%.
Okay.
But if that same man moves to Japan, adopts a traditional Japanese diet and lifestyle, his risk could plummet down to just 1%, an 80% drop.
That's a massive difference.
It is. And even more striking, look at Japanese Americans. By their 40s, living in the U.S., they can have the same heart attack risk as people living in Japan who are in their 60s.
So adopting the Western lifestyle effectively aged their hearts by 20 years.
That's essentially what the data suggests. Yeah, it's powerful evidence for lifestyle's impact.
And this shift, it's part of a bigger trend, right? This age of degenerative diseases.
Exactly. Think back to, say, 1900 in the U.S. The top killers were infectious diseases, pneumonia, TB, diarrheal diseases.
Things we mostly have under control now, medically.
Right. But fast forward to today. The landscape is totally different. It's heart disease, cancer, chronic lung disease. Lifestyle diseases dominate.
And it's not just because we're living longer.
No, it's intricately linked to changes in how we live, and especially how we eat. We see this starkly as developing nations adopt more Western dietary patterns.
So let's talk about that Western diet, the standard American diet, or SAD.
Ah, yes, the SAD diet. Its nutritional quality is, well, pretty dismal. On a scale of 0 to 100 for healthfulness, it scores around 11.
11 out of 100. Ouch.
Yeah, basically a 1 on a 10-point scale. If
Yeah.
you break down where the calories come from, it's roughly 32% animal foods, a huge 57% from processed plant foods.
Like white flour, sugar, oils.
Exactly, and only about 11% from actual whole plant foods.
Yeah.
Fruits, veggies, whole grains, beans.
Just 11%. That's tiny.
It is. There was even this kind of morbidly fascinating study looking at the last meals requested by death row inmates. Their nutritional breakdown wasn't significantly different from the average American's daily intake.
That puts things in perspective, a very sobering perspective.
It really does.
So given that diet reality, you'd think meeting health guidelines must be incredibly tough, like the American Heart Association's Simple 7.
Right, those recommendations for heart health. And the statistic is shocking. In one survey of nearly 2,000 Americans, how many met all 7?
I read this. It's unbelievable.
One person, just one.
1 out of almost 2,000.
Hmm.
But here's the flip side, the really empowering part for you listening.
Yes.
Just focusing on 4 simple lifestyle factors can potentially wipe out a huge chunk of your chronic disease risk, like 78%.
Okay, what are the 4?
Pretty straightforward, actually. Not smoking, maintaining a healthy weight, so not being obese, getting just 30 minutes of moderate exercise a day, and, crucially, eating healthier.
Which means?
More fruits, more vegetables, more whole grains, and less meat. Just those 4 things.
And the potential impact is massive.
Huge. We're talking potentially cutting diabetes risk by over 90%, preventing over 80% of heart attacks, halving stroke risk, reducing overall cancer risk by more than a third.
Wow, just those 4.
Yeah.
It really highlights that when we talk about family history.
It might be more about shared habits than just genes.
Exactly. Often it's the shared dietary patterns passed down, the shared lifestyle, not just some unavoidable genetic blueprint.
Which leads us back to that central, powerful idea.
Yeah, the core finding. Adopting a more plant-based way of eating seems to help prevent, treat, or maybe even reverse literally every single one of our 15 leading causes of death.
Every single one. That's a massive claim. Let's break it down. Start with heart disease, the #1 killer.
Okay. So the scary thing is it starts incredibly early. Autopsy studies on American kids show the first stage of artery clogging, atherosclerosis, these fatty streaks. They're present in most kids by age 10.
Age 10 already.
Already.
Yeah.
And by the time people in their 20s or 30s, those streaks have often developed into full-blown plaques, hardened arteries.
So for basically anyone listening over the age of 10,
The conversation really needs to shift. It's not just about preventing heart disease anymore. It's likely about reversing the heart disease you probably already have to some degree.
that's a fundamental shift in thinking. What are the main drivers, the culprits?
It largely comes down to cholesterol, specifically that LDL or bad cholesterol.
And where does that primarily come from?
Animal products are a major source, and also highly processed junk foods. Trans fats, saturated fats found there. One expert famously put it very bluntly, it's the cholesterol, stupid.
Highlighting its central role.
Undeniably. And the effect can be immediate. You eat one high-fat fast food meal, they use sausage and egg McMuffins in one study.
Okay.
Within hours, your arteries stiffen. Their ability to relax naturally gets cut in half.
Just from one meal?
Just one. Imagine the cumulative damage from years of eating like that.
But the good news is it's not a one-way street.
Exactly. That's what Dr. Ornish's work so powerfully demonstrated. This process can be reversed with comprehensive lifestyle changes, especially diet.
Okay, let's move from the heart to the brain. What about diseases like stroke, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's? Is there a similar dietary link?
Absolutely. Take Alzheimer's. It's often described as incurable, tragically. But the evidence strongly suggests it's highly preventable.
Preventable how?
It seems tightly linked to, essentially, clogged arteries in the brain and a buildup of cholesterol there.
Just like in the heart.
Very similar mechanisms. Autopsies show significantly more cholesterol plaques in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. PET scans link high LDL cholesterol directly to those amyloid plaques typical of the disease.
So lowering cholesterol helps the brain too.
That seems critical. Now, statin drugs lower cholesterol, but they sometimes have cognitive side effects for some people, which makes lowering it naturally through diet even more appealing.
Are there specific foods that might help with symptoms or prevention?
Intriguingly, yes. Saffron, the spice, has shown promise in double-blind trials for improving Alzheimer's symptoms.
Saffron. Interesting.
And for prevention, foods rich in polyphenols. Those protective plant compounds seem key. Fruit and vegetable juices, particularly things like Concord grape juice or cranberry juice, have been linked to a dramatically lower risk, up to 76% lower.
76%, that's huge.
It really is. And there's another piece, AGs, advanced glycation end products.
AGs, what are those?
Think of them as sticky, damaging compounds formed when sugars react with proteins or fats. High heat cooking, especially dry heat like grilling or frying, really ramps up their formation.
Okay. And how do they relate to Alzheimer's?
High levels are found in the brains of Alzheimer's patients, and they're known to accelerate cognitive decline. The main dietary sources. Meat cooked with dry heat.
Like grilled chicken or steak.
Exactly. And interestingly, poultry actually contains more AGs than beef, maybe 20% more when cooked similarly.
So cutting back on dry cooked meats could help.
Potentially significantly. Even a modest reduction could cut your daily AGE intake roughly in half. That could be really protective for the brain over time.
Fascinating. What about Parkinson's disease?
There, the evidence points strongly towards berries. Blueberries, strawberries, they seem quite protective. Apples, too, especially for men.
Any idea why?
The exact mechanisms are still being studied, but one theory involves pesticides. They tend to concentrate in animal fats, like in dairy and meat.
And pesticides are linked to Parkinson's.
They've been associated with DNA damage and the kind of misfolded proteins we see in Parkinson's brains. There's also this interesting link between chronic constipation and a higher risk of developing Parkinson's later on.
Lots of connections. Let's shift to cancer, especially digestive cancers. The diet link seems intuitive there.
It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, our gut is our main interface with the world, right?
Yeah.
So diet becomes our biggest, most constant exposure to potential carcinogens.
Makes sense.
And plant-based diets tend to be very high in fiber. That leads to, well, larger stools and faster transit time. Waste moves through quicker.
Which is good.
Definitely. Lower colon cancer risk is strongly linked to faster transit time. Plus, whole plants contain these compounds called phytates.
Phytates.
Yeah, they're natural detoxifiers. They help bind up excess iron in the gut, which can be a factor in colorectal cancer development.
And I read about a unique study involving berries.
Ah, yes, the berry suppository study. Quite unusual. But researchers did observe rectal polyps shrinking or disappearing in patients given concentrated berry compounds this way.
Okay, definitely not a home remedy.
Definitely not. But it speaks to the potent anti-cancer effects of compounds found in berries.
Now, you mentioned poultry earlier with AGs. Is there a cancer connection to the poultry paradox?
Yes, surprisingly, several large studies have found poultry consumption linked more strongly than red meat to increased risk for certain cancers, like pancreatic cancer, lymphomas, and leukemias.
Why poultry specifically?
We don't know for sure. Theories include maybe residues of growth-promoting drugs or perhaps even cancer-causing viruses found in poultry.
Viruses?
Yeah, for instance, bovine leukemia virus, DNA, which causes leukemia in cattle, has actually been found integrated into human breast tissue samples. The implications aren't fully clear yet, but it's an active area of research.
Wow. Okay, speaking of breast cancer, what helps there?
Well, red wine seems to have a specific benefit not seen with white wine. A compound in dark grape skins appears to suppress an enzyme, estrogen synthase, that some breast tumors use to fuel their growth.
Interesting. What about harms?
Cooked meat carcinogens, things like HCAs, PAHs, HIP formed during high heat cooking, are definitely linked to higher risk, especially if you don't eat many fruits and vegetables.
So fruits and veggies are protective.
Very much so. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, cabbage, they're superstars. They boost your liver's natural detoxification enzymes, helping your body neutralize those harmful compounds.
And what about soy? There's so much confusion there.
Right. But the evidence, especially for survivors, is actually very positive. Consistent findings show soy consumption linked to about a 25% lower risk of recurrence.
Even for women with specific genetic risks.
Even then. And studies show dramatically improved 5-year survival rates. It really challenges the old, unfounded fears about soy.
That's really important to clarify. Now, prostate cancer.
There's a strong link with choline intake. Choline is high in foods like eggs. Eating just 2.5 or more eggs per week was associated with an 81% increased risk of dying from prostate cancer in one major study.
81%, that's significant.
It is. On the flip side, you look at the blood of people eating plant-based diets. It's been shown to suppress prostate cancer cell growth in a lab setting about 8 times more effectively than blood from people on a standard American diet.
8 times stronger. Why?
A key factor seems to be lower levels of IGF-1. That's insulin-like growth factor 1, cancer-promoting growth hormone. Animal protein intake really pushes IGF-1 levels up. Plant-based diets tend to lower it.
Okay, let's move to diabetes. The evidence here seems incredibly strong for diet.
It's arguably some of the most compelling. There was one study looking at people eating strictly plant-based diets. The prevalence of type 2 diabetes among them, 0.
0%.
0. Now, that was one specific group, but it highlights the potential. A key mechanism involves saturated fat,
How so?
particularly a type called palmitate, abundant in meat, dairy, eggs. It directly causes insulin resistance at the cellular level. It basically gums up the works, making it harder for your cells to take up sugar.
And other fats are different.
Yes, monounsaturated fats like oleate found in nuts, olives, avocados seem to be protective. They don't cause that same cellular dysfunction.
There's also a link to pollutants.
A huge one. About 95% of our exposure to certain chemical pollutants called obesogens, things like hexachlorobenzene that disrupt metabolism and promote fat storage, comes from animal fat in the diet.
95% from animal fat and the diabetes link.
Exposure to these pollutants is linked to up to 38 times higher odds of developing diabetes. 38 times.
That's astronomical. But again, is reversal possible here too?
Absolutely. This is where it gets really exciting. A whole food plant-based diet can dramatically lower A1C levels, often back into the non-diabetic range.
A1C being the measure of long-term blood sugar control.
Exactly. And people have experienced reversal of painful diabetic neuropathy nerve damage, sometimes within days of changing their diet.
Days. That's incredible.
It is. Many patients are able to significantly reduce or even completely stop their insulin, often without even needing major weight loss initially. The dietary change itself is that powerful.
You mentioned weight gain linked to poultry earlier, independent of calories.
Yeah, several studies show meat consumption, and poultry in particular, is associated with weight gain over time, even when controlling for calories.
Why would that be?
Part of it might be related to how commercial chickens are bred now. They're genetically selected to grow incredibly fast and accumulate much more fat than chickens used to. So you're eating an animal designed to get fat quickly.
Okay, let's touch on kidney disease. How does diet play a role?
Our kidneys are basically filters, right? Packed with tiny blood vessels. So just like the heart, they're vulnerable to damage from the same things.
The standard American diet again.
Yes. And it can cause something called hyperfiltration, where the kidneys are overworked. They start leaking protein into the urine, which is a sign of damage.
So what helps protect them?
Unsurprisingly, the same diets that are best for the heart, whole food plant-based diets, are also the best for preventing and treating kidney disease.
Any specific mechanisms?
Well, plant-based diets tend to make your urine more alkaline, less acidic. This significantly lowers the risk of forming kidney stones.
And acidic foods are mostly?
Primarily animal-based. Fish, pork, poultry, cheese, beef, eggs. These are the main producers of acid in the body after digestion.
Got it. And quickly, the nitrate issue. Nitrates in processed meats are bad, but nitrates in vegetables are okay. Why?
It's about context. In processed meats, nitrates can combine with amines and amides, which are naturally present in meat, to form nitrosamines. Those are potent carcinogens. But in vegetables, you have nitrates alongside vitamin C and other antioxidants. These antioxidants actually block the formation of nitrosamines. So the nitrates in veggies don't form those harmful compounds. They might even be beneficial for blood pressure.
Context is everything. Okay, finally, the immune system. How can diet boost our defenses?
Specific foods can have a dramatic impact. Kale, for example, has been shown in studies to quintuple antibody production in response to a vaccine.
5 times the antibodies.
Yes. Blueberries can double the activity of your natural killer cells. Those are key immune cells that fight viruses and early cancer cells.
Double. That's significant.
And cardamom, the spice, boosted killer cell activity 10 times in one study.
10 times. Wow.
Beyond specific foods, just eating a variety of raw fruits and vegetables gives you both prebiotics, fiber that feeds good gut bacteria, and sometimes probiotics, the good bacteria themselves. A healthy gut is fundamental for a strong immune system.
Makes sense. And basic hygiene still matters, right?
Absolutely. Simple things like coughing into your elbow, washing hands, and food safety. It's sobering, but studies show kitchen sinks often harbor more fecal bacteria than toilet bowls, largely due to cross-contamination from washing raw chicken.
Oh, good reminder.
And the bigger issue of antibiotic resistance, fueled by overuse in farm animals, remains a huge public health challenge that impacts all of us.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of science showing why this matters. How do we make it practical? How do you translate this into what do I eat today?
Right, the practical application. That's where the concept of the daily dozen comes in.
The checklist.
Exactly. It's basically a simple checklist designed to distill all this evidence down into manageable daily goals. Think of it as a best-of compilation from the science.
And it uses that traffic light idea.
Yeah, green light foods to maximize, yellow light foods to minimize, and red light foods to avoid altogether. It helps simplify choices.
And it emphasizes whole plant foods, right? Not just vegan.
Critically important point. You could be a vegan, eating mostly French fries, soda, and processed snacks. That's not the goal.
The junk food vegan.
Exactly. So the term whole food plant-based is more precise. It focuses on unprocessed or minimally processed plants.
And is it more expensive? That's a common concern.
Actually, often not. When you look at nutritional bang for your buck, vegetables give you about 6 times more nutrients per dollar than processed foods.
6 times?
And compared to meat, it's about 48 times more nutrition per dollar spent on vegetables. So prioritizing whole plants can actually save you money.
48 times. Okay, let's quickly run through some daily dozen highlights. Beans.
3 servings a day. And get this, legumes, beans, lentils, chickpeas are considered maybe the single most important dietary predictor of survival in older adults.
Really?
Yeah, just a small increase, about 20 grams a day, less than an ounce, was linked to an 8% lower risk of premature death.
Wow. Okay, berries.
1 serving. They consistently top the charts for antioxidants. Great for cancer defense, immune system, liver, brain, all of it.
Any specific berry tips?
Dried goji berries, often sold as lycium in Asian markets, can be a really nutrient-dense and sometimes cheaper alternative to raisins for snacking or adding to meals.
Good tip. Other fruits.
Aim for 3 servings. And the key here is whole fruit. Juice, even 100% juice, misses the fiber and can spike your blood sugar more sharply.
Whole fruit is better. Any fun fruit facts?
Well, watermelon contains citrulline, which can actually help with blood flow and erectile dysfunction. And fun fact, yellow watermelon has about 4 times more citrulline than red.
Yellow watermelon. Who knew? Cruciferous veggies.
Just 1 serving daily. Think broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower. Roasting them brings out a fantastic nutty sweetness. Or try making kale chips surprisingly easy and tasty.
Greens.
2 servings. These are arguably the healthiest foods on the planet, packed with nutrients. Really try to eat the rainbow. Here, different colors mean different phytonutrients.
And they help statin users.
Yes. Leafy greens are a good source of CoQ10, which statin drugs can deplete, so eating greens might help offset potential side effects.
Good to know. Other vegetables.
2 servings, aiming for variety. Think roots, stems, flowers, pods. Don't forget the allium family, garlic, onions, leeks. They're cancer-fighting powerhouses.
Cooking tips for veggies.
To preserve antioxidants, methods like griddling or microwaving actually seem to be best. Boiling loses a lot. And interestingly, bell peppers seem most vulnerable to baking so brown. They can lose up to 70% of their antioxidants in the oven.
Microwaving better than baking for peppers.
Okay. Flax seeds.
1 tablespoon, ground. This stuff is amazing. Studies link it to significant benefits for blood pressure, maybe even comparable to potent drugs, plus protection against breast and prostate cancers. Ground is key for absorption.
Nuts and seeds.
1 serving, about 1/4 cup of nuts or 2 tablespoons of seeds. Walnuts often come out on top.
Why walnuts?
Highest antioxidant levels, great source of plant-based omega-3s. Lab studies show walnut compounds can suppress cancer cell growth. Plus, they're very satiating, help you feel full.
Herbs and spices.
Just 1/4 teaspoon serving. But this category boasts the highest antioxidant density of all foods. Wow. Specific examples.
Turmeric, just 1/8 of a teaspoon, has been shown to cut DNA damage in half. Cilantro can help lower inflammation, and uric acid, good for gout.
Hmm.
Ginger is incredible. Studies show it can work as well as a common migraine drug, sumatriptan, and as well as ibuprofen for menstrual pain. All for pennies.
Ginger for migraines. Amazing. Any others?
Amla, or Indian gooseberry powder. It's an antioxidant superstar, available online or in Indian grocery stores.
All grains.
3 servings. Think oats, brown rice, quinoa, whole wheat pasta. A useful tip for bread or crackers is the 5-to-1 rule.
5-to-1.
Look at the nutrition label. You want the ratio of grams of carbohydrate to grams of fiber to be 5 or less. It helps you pick truly high-fiber whole grains, like Ezekiel bread often is.
Candy rule. Beverages.
5 servings, about 12 ounces each. Water is ideal, obviously. You can flavor it naturally with fruit or mint. Coffee shows benefits for longevity, reducing risk of death from all causes, heart disease, and cancer. Great for liver protection, too. Lots of benefits. Green tea for weight, blood pressure, blood sugar. Cold steeped white tea might retain even more antioxidants. Matcha is powdered whole green tea leaves. Very potent.
Any cautions with tea?
Yeah, be wary of concentrated green tea extract pills. They've been linked to liver toxicity in rare cases. And kombucha has had some reports of serious adverse effects, so maybe approach with caution. Hibiscus tea, though, is fantastic for lowering blood pressure. Really potent.
Okay, and last but not least, exercise.
1 serving daily. The goal is 90 minutes of moderate-intensity activity, like brisk walking, or 40 minutes of vigorous activity, like jogging.
That sounds like a lot for busy people.
It does, but think creatively. Treadmill desks, walking meetings, taking the stairs, parking further away, every bit adds up. Break it up throughout the day.
And supplements. What's essential on a plant-based diet?
Really, only 2 main ones to be mindful of. Vitamin B12 is crucial. It's not reliably found in plant foods. About 2,500 milligrams once a week, or a smaller daily dose is recommended.
B12. Got it. What else?
Iodine, especially for pregnant or breastfeeding women. About 150 milligrams daily. Seaweed can be a source, but supplements are more reliable for dosage. Otherwise, a varied whole food, plant-based diet generally covers all other essential nutrients.
Unlike the standard diet, which is often deficient.
Exactly. Oh, and one quick note on seafood. While it has omega-3s, frequent consumption of larger fish can lead to high mercury levels, which is neurotoxic. Something to be aware of.
Okay. Now, we should briefly touch on the bigger picture, the sort of hidden dangers in the system itself.
Right. It's important context. Astonishingly, medical care itself, things like medication side effects, hospital errors, has been estimated to be the 3rd leading cause of death in the U.S. in some analyses. Maybe 6th in others, but still incredibly high.
The 3rd leading cause of death from medical care.
Yes, so-called iatrogenic death. And the response from the medical establishment to these kinds of statistics has often been described, frankly, as a deafening silence.
Which circles back to that earlier question. Why are individuals often left struggling to figure out this critical health information on their own?
It's a valid question given these systemic issues.
And the food industry plays a role too, doesn't it? Practices like GRAS self-determination.
Ah, yes. GRAS stands for Generally Recognized as Safe. And under that rule, companies can basically decide for themselves that a new additive they want to use is safe, sometimes without even needing to notify the FDA.
They determine their own product's safety.
In many cases, yes. It's a system with clear potential conflicts of interest. And we also see how political and industry pressure can dilute or block clear public health advice.
Like the Meatless Mondays incident.
Exactly.
Okay.
A simple suggestion for schools to offer a meat-free lunch option once a week caused such an uproar from industry groups and politicians that the USDA retracted the suggestion within hours.
It just shows the powerful forces working against even small dietary shifts sometimes.
It really does. But let's end on a more positive and perhaps even more profound note. Beyond the physical health benefits, shifting towards a whole food, plant-based diet can actually do something remarkable in your brain. It can help resensitize your dopamine reward pathways.
Resensitize? What does that mean for you?
It means the natural pleasures in life can become more vivid again. The taste of simple, real food, everyday experiences, simple joys, they can feel more rewarding.
Unlike processed foods that kind of hijack those pathways.
Exactly. The processed food industry is incredibly skilled at creating hyper-palatable products that overstimulate those reward centers, leading to cravings and, arguably, diminishing our ability to appreciate less intense natural rewards.
So eating healthier can actually make life more enjoyable overall.
That's the idea, reclaiming your brain's natural reward system.
So this whole deep dive, it really brings it home, doesn't it? A long, healthy life. It seems for most of us it's largely a matter of choice, your choices.
It really underscores our agency.
It reminds me of that quote from Dr. Kim Williams, the cardiologist who went plant-based. He said, "I don't mind dying. I just don't want it to be my fault."
Powerful words. It puts the responsibility and the potential squarely in our hands.
So the question for you listening is, what choices will you make today to shape your own health journey?